Hey, it's Gary from PA Hydroponics in York Springs, Pennsylvania. We also have a store in Maryland called All Good Garden Supply, and we're back for another episode here. Thank you all for watching, by the way. Please click down here and follow us, and we're going to try to do some more videos. It's fall here at the store, so we're working on getting some indoor displays going. Today we're talking about the Grow Flow. This is Hydrofarm's Grow Flow. Some people have seen this and don't know what it does or how it works. It's pretty cool. It's got a 55-gallon barrel. This is going to hold your nutrients, and then that can hook up to 12 or even 24 pots all together. This system is really cool for indoors because it's on the ground and it's hydroponics. Like flood tables are always up like this high off the ground, and this system, your pots are all the way on the ground. This particular system, the Grow Flow, comes with two different versions here. You got little pots or you got big pots. There's an inner chamber that holds your clay rocks, and then this one here has got a little plate down here, inner chamber. Lots of versions of this system out there, but I really like this one a lot because it's got some really cool features. One being it's a bottom drain, which is really convenient. That means all your water is going to come out. And this bigger one even has 3/4 inch fittings with the bottom drain, so your roots aren't ever going to be sitting in that little bit of water that's left over on a lot of other versions of this. Pretty much how this works is you have a brain. This is the brain of the system, the control bucket. This has a timer on it, and each prong on the timer is 15 minutes. So every 2 to 3 hours, you're going to kick on your pump. You have a pump inside your barrel, and you have a pump inside your control bucket. When it clicks on to flood the system, pretty much the pump in here will flow out into this control bucket, and then it's going to disperse out to all the pots. As your pots fill up, the water comes up slowly, pushes out all your dead air, and then after your dial on your control bucket goes around, it'll turn that pump off, and it'll turn the pump inside the control bucket, which will pump everything back out of these into the barrel. So it's a really cool system. It's also really good in this part of the country in the summer. Your roots are never hanging in water for very long, so you don't get the root rot that you usually get in deep water culture systems. So you really don't even need a chiller with this depending on your area. So it's a really cool system, pretty much automated. Today I had a customer bring me in an old one, and we're resurrecting that for our store display this winter. So we're going to be doing a 5x5 grow tent gorilla, and we're going to have 14 buckets in there, and stop in and see it. It'll be cool. So I'll just meet you back there. Well, this is our youth system that we got. A bunch of buckets. It looks like a big mess, but it's actually, we're going to put it together today and get it cleaned up. I've already scrubbed out the buckets, but I'm going to run some cleaning solution through it and cycle it through. This is your brain box. The Hydrofarm version, this is an older Hydrofarm version, it's called CAP. Inside of here, I don't know if you can see that or not, there's some triggers. These are water level triggers that tell it when it's full and when to stop pumping. And those, you just keep them clean, they're pretty solid. And pretty much these are dispersals that'll go out to all your buckets. So right now I'm laying the system out, I'm gonna have it, and I've been getting I put in all new grommets right away. I figured that'd be the first thing to do on this, because this has been sitting around, who knows how long. So fitting the grommets in, I use a little bit of soapy water. That's all it takes. Makes them going a lot easier. So this system here, I'm going to have one channel go out here. This has 6 outputs on it. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to just use 4 for this. If you're doing the full 24 buckets, then you would want to use all those. If you do use the full 24 buckets, you got to watch the barrel. You got to keep that thing topped all the way off. So I usually tell people, maybe do 20 on this particular system. All right, these systems usually come with 12 pots per system, so you can add one from there. Since we're not going to do the full 12, I'm going to go ahead and clog up some of these holes right now with some stoppers. These are little stoppers. Pretty much if you have a hole you don't need, they make these in all different sizes. Put a little bit of soap on the inside fitting here, that way I can get it out easier. They're a little tough to get out, but So, little dish soap on there again. Yeah, we're also going to test this for leaks, which definitely any hydro system, test for leaks before you put your plants in it, please. Alright, so we're going to use that row there, this row, and then one of these. So I'm going to take another one of these out since we don't need them that many. Then from there, we're going to probably start cutting the hose for the tubing. It's in there pretty good. Alright, so I got my tubing. We're going to start running this. Put all your buckets where you're going to have them. That way you can get everything cut right. I'm just going to eye everything up in here. And I don't think you should have like 10 buckets on one line, because you're going to have water being pumped into the brain, and it's got to have time to get out to everything. So I guess you can mess around with that a little bit. I'm going to dip my tubing in my soapy water, helps them go on better. And when we're done, everything's going to be on here nicely. I'm using like some elbows on the end, and I got T-fittings in the middle here, because your end, you don't need another fitting coming out of it. So all my elbows are at the end of my line. And I like to use elbows just to make turns better and stuff too. And you can come back, and I'm going to finish this up off camera because it's going to take me a while to cut all this, and then we'll be right back. Alright, a little bit about the control bucket. It's got to be on the same level as everything. That's one important thing about the system, is everything's got to be on the exact same level. You can't have this sitting up. It's going to throw everything off. Same with the buckets. You can't have a tilt to your room. It should be all perfectly flat. I did redo this. I'm going to end up running these two lines over to these two rows, and then the two lines on that side of those two rows. And then we should be good to go. Alright, so the control bucket, we're going to put the pump in it. This is going to be the pump that, when this top trigger triggers, it's going to turn off the other pump in the barrel, and it's going to turn this pump on to send the water back to the barrel. This is a little tricky. We're using a bottom draw pump. This pump will bring the water down as far as possible. That's good to have in this kind of system. Most of them come with something like this. And the back side of this fitting is a very small lip that I have to get with this 1/2-inch hose and get it all cut right. So that's what I'm doing right now. My plan is to use this little duct vent here from the tent that we're not using to get all my cords and my hoses through, and the barrel's going to be sitting outside. Alright, so we got the pump in there real nice. This little hole here is where you're going to put your cord through. They conveniently put that there for you. Later on, you might want to go back and just stick a piece of something in there to keep the light from getting in there. And I'm just going to run out with my main water lines over to the barrel. Alright, and we're using 265-gallon-per-hour pumps here, in case I didn't say that before. Most systems come with something like that, or maybe a 350. If you're using the 3/4-inch hose in the bigger system that we carry, the Hydrofarm Grow Flow, you can even use a bigger pump than that. As for your barrel, something very important on your barrel is this little elbow piece. All the systems come with an elbow with a little tiny hole in it. This is going to go underneath the lid on the inside. You want your hole facing into the barrel. What this is there for, it's a siphon hole, so that when your pump turns off in the barrel, it'll let air in, and it won't siphon your system. And that's very important. The large hole here is to drop your pump in, and again, you can put a little plate over top of that or something to block the light. And I'm gonna go get the rest of this tubing cut, and we'll be right back. This is your return line. It's just gonna be a waterfall falling into the barrel. That helps keep stuff stirred up. The supply line that's going to the system is the one with the elbow on it. So you got to remember to get this hooked up to the control bucket in the line that doesn't have the pump. So I got my pump down here sitting on the bottom. This big hole here, I've had customers try to build these things themselves. You need to be able to let air get into your barrel. It's very important, or you're going to have siphon issues coming and going from the system. So, like I said earlier, you can cover that hole up with something, but don't plug it up. Another good thing that this system comes with are cord wraps. These help you keep from getting kinked. So pretty much you want to wrap these. Most of these kinds of systems come with this, so do that up here. If you get a kink, it could be bad. It could flood stuff, so. That's about it for setting this thing up. It's nice to keep your barrel outside the room like we have this one. You're going to have a lot less heat issues with it. And we're going to go fill this up with water and see how many leaks we got. There was a few old grommets on the bucket that were really hard to get off, so I left them on there. So I'm hoping the control bucket doesn't leak. But like I said earlier, always test your systems before you have the plant sitting there waiting, because you never know what's going to go wrong. And that's that. Getting ready to hook up the power here. We're using a ground fault circuit interrupter. What this does, and I've said this in other videos, you should always use this when you're dealing with water and hydro, aquaponics, any of that stuff. In case there is, say, one of your pumps gets a leak inside the electronics of the pump, it will trip it and it'll turn it off, the power off immediately, quicker than your circuit breaker will in your house. So it's very important to use these. I'm a big fan of these everywhere in hydro. Usually your kitchen and bathroom has these built into the walls, but that's what this does. Alright, back to the little elbow in here with the hole in it. In here there's a little bit of water shooting out as this pump is draining this barrel and sending it to the system. That little hole is your pressure valve, I guess I'd call it, I don't know, regulator. If the pump turns off and it didn't have a little hole in there, the water would keep on sucking out of here and it would overflow the system possibly. So when the pump turns off now, air is going to go in that little hole and it's going to break the suction, and you're not going to get that siphon effect going on like you would. And we've had customers that have tried to build stuff like this that's what happened. So, but everything's working good, it's not leaking. So. Alright, so right now I turned it off, but what it's doing is called cycling back on again, because things are still dispersing out to the bucket. So it got up to the trigger, but trigger told it to stop, but then when it went out some more, it turned back on. And you'll get that too, especially when you're going back into the big barrel. So far we've been doing this for maybe 7 or 8 minutes to get it flooded. Alright, well, everything is flooded. The pots are flooded. The tent's not flooded. We honestly did have a little leak. The back corner bucket had a little crack in the bucket itself, so took care of that. I have plants started in starting cubes in another area of the store, and they're going to end up going into rock wool blocks, and then this is going to be in a flood and drain system until they get big enough to go in here. When you're going to go put plants in here, you pretty much want to have the system completely filled, so you know where your water level is. That way you know how far down to bury your starter block. So that's that. Check back in another month or two. We might add a video to this part with plants in here. And thanks again for watching. I'm Gary from PA Hydroponics in York Springs, Pennsylvania. We have a store in Maryland called All Good Garden Supply. And please hit the like button down there. And if you got any questions, you can put them in the comments below. We try to answer everything we can as often as we can. So have a good one.